And he loses the next game, so they're tied 2-2. So now it's Noni and my brother in the final for the qualifier for the 2005 USA Finals, and I'm just like, Roger, you gotta keep me updated on everything. Like, my heart's pounding. I'm so stressed out and everything. And he's typing to me, and he's like, okay, Noni tried to do this drop. It's not working. So Nick's building up his army. He's getting Dragoons and Reavers. He's getting his shuttle. Noni's expanded before him. Wow, Nick really is low on that shuttle. He's not moving his stuff out. Now he's ferrying his stuff to the low ground. Noni's expansion's been up for a really long time. And then dead silence. And then he comes back and says, holy cow, huge battle, 1 sec. And I don't hear from him for like 3 or 4 minutes. And I've just never been so wigging out in my entire life. So he gets back on and he says, okay, I think Nick won that battle. I think he came out up on top. 5 seconds later, he says, Nick lost his shuttle with both his Reavers in it. And I was just like, oh my god. Oh my god. I was like, oh, please, please, Nick, find a win. And then Roger says, oh, wait a minute, you're going to love this. Nick's food is 92. Noni's food is 38. And I was like, and right as I got that, I got a call from Nick. He said, I won. I'm going to the finals, man. And I have never been so happy in my entire life. I couldn't stop jumping for like an hour and a half. I just had like so much adrenaline in my body. I called my mom. She drove home from work. We both went out to dinner. Nick was in Texas. We could, but she and I went out to dinner, and we were just like, oh my god, he trained so hard and he did it. And you're both going to be at the finals because you know what? We're a family that plays Starcraft. We're just the ones who get it, So going to that 2005 finals, it was horrible to find out that my brother and I were paired against each other first round. And I remember going out there, and it was just so bittersweet because I had to play my brother first round, and I won. And afterwards, he gave me a big hug and everything, and I was talking to him. I just felt really bad. And I remember he brought me into this backstage, and he just started crying because he's just like, "I'm sorry, man. I practiced really hard for this." And then he just said, "But you know what, Sean? You're gonna win this tournament." He's like, "I'm so proud of you." Man, there's 3,000 nerds watching me right now get all emotional, but it's just so important to me that how supportive he could be, that he could be so upset that he flew all the way out, worked so hard, and ended up getting eliminated first round to his brother, so he's going to deal with all those obvious obnoxious comparisons, but that he still just says, I'm so proud of you. You're gonna win. And then from that moment on, like, I was focused, man. I mean, I can't lose after that. I can't be like, whoops, sorry, lost to a 4-pool next round. Whoops, got bunker rushed, So I was just so focused that whole tournament. I ate so little. My focus was just peaked, and I ended up. It was the first time I ever actually won a tournament, and it was a little bittersweet because again, had to knock Nick out first round. I had to play a whole bunch of my friends in the tournament. But it was just so nice to have him just be there between every round. I didn't have to call him. He was just like, he was like right there, I could just easily, like, he'd be like, awesome, man, you played well. And I'm just like, high-five him. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, but that was so cool because Nick got eliminated first round. He had nothing to do, and the commentators were up on stage, and it was Radio ITG, and they were doing all the events, and their guy up on stage just didn't play StarCraft at all. And I mean, it was so funny because he was on the stage. There was like a 60-foot screen behind him. It was almost as big as my pit stains. Whoopsie daisies. So I mean, it was this huge screen. Honestly, the 2005 USA Finals is one of the best run tournaments I've ever been at. But I remember, so he's up there and he has the mic and he's watching a game and he's like, wow. He literally is like turned sideways looking at his computer and he's going, wow, that guy, he is making Marines. Those Marines, man, they can shoot up, down. He's going to keep making them. It was just like this nonsensical, completely randomly directed commentary. And Nick went up to them right after that game and he said, okay, look, I understand your guy doesn't have that much experience, give me the mic. I'll take care of all this. Nick walked right up on the stage there. Absolutely no preparation. Sat down and commented beautifully. He said everything right. Anytime the co-caster said anything at all that seemed ridiculous, Nick would totally just save him, would not do any sort of thing to embarrass him, and Radio ITG hired him right on the spot, and that's what began his casting career. So, I mean, it ended up working so nicely for him. And it was so funny. I even remember there was this game on Estrella, again, because WCG just, for some reason, wants to have an island map in every single tournament. And I remember the Radio ITG guy says, okay, I need this hand here so you can see this. So he goes, so, Nick, it's an island map. Do you think we're going to see drops? And he don't you think? And Nick's like, yes, I definitely think that's a possibility here. You know, big variety that we can, do here. Just completely picked it up. I mean, I'm not going to lie. 99 people out of 100 would have been like, well, gee, yeah, I think he might get drops if he's into ever attacking in this war game. Yeah, I think he'll maybe get drops if he's interested in winning ever. But Nick just completely just crisp. No dropping the ball at all there. So that ended up working out just great. But, now comes the 2005 Grand Final in Singapore that I flew all the way out to. I wanted to do better than I did last year. I got in the round of 16 against Zelos. I lost. So, of course, I say, ooh, I got 9th, right? Ooh. I wanted to get into the top 24. Round-robin groups of 8 instead of 4. And I was in a group with Sen and Android. And they're both really good. And this is also the period when I started playing a lot on The Abyss, which later became PG Tour. I was playing on PG Tour, and then later on I played on The Abyss, which eventually became ICCUP. But my major practice partners during that period were Frozen Arbiter on the Team Liquid.net forums, and tons of the Russian players. Advocat, Android, Deadman from Croatia. I mean, just a lot of really awesome guys. They were all in the Orky clan, pretty much, for any of you familiar with that. Now, Android is notorious for having funky manner in tournaments. I don't want to call it bad manner, but just a little off. Like, he would lift... He would be dead, and instead of saying GG, he'd lift his buildings and float them around the map to try to just delay the game, which is kind of funny, right? But technically bad manner, and people would sometimes be like, "Oh, that Android guy is bad manner." But we always played together, and there was a language barrier, obviously. But we played a lot of games leading up to that tournament, so I was feeling confident against him. It was on the map Paranoid Android, and then I had to practice against Sen, who terrifies me. God, Sen was scary in the TSL, too, that just happened not long ago. But also, he was terrifying in 2005, right? He is just a scary beast at RTS games. So, with Sen there, I was like, okay, I gotta practice a lot of Zerg vs. Zerg. I gotta practice it. And when I got to the tournament, he said, no, we're playing on Estrella. I'm gonna play Protoss. And I was just like, oh, man. So I lose my first game. I'm 0-1, right? 6 more to go, right? So I have to pretty much go 6-1 or 5-2 in the group. So I kept playing, and I was winning all my games until I got to Android. And I was in that game, and I was playing, and I was even playing better than I did in practice. But all of a sudden, he comes out with his first push. I have lurkers and zerglings there. They're ready. They're positioned behind the fat bridge on Paranoid Android. And all of a sudden, I felt my muscles just start doing things I didn't want them to do. And in my head, I said, oh my god, I am about to send in a full control group of my lurkers. And they're all going to die. And I have no idea why I'm going to do that. And I just choked. And I watched myself do this. And I felt no control over my hands, right? Just none. I was just like, oh my god. And I just lost all my 12 lurkers. So I had 3 control groups of zerglings and no lurkers. That's not going to do very much good. And I remember after that point, I got this boost of adrenaline and my focus just peaked. But I mean, it didn't matter at that point, It's the perfectly